Please welcome to the stage Dr. David Howell.
Several years ago, I was sitting in my office preparing for a lecture when I received an email from a colleague notifying me that Matt, a former student of ours, died in a house fire. The information was polarizing. I couldn't get out of my chair. So I emailed my students letting them know that class was canceled. Then I just stared out the window, trying to make sense of this information. I ended up sitting there for the rest of the day. Matt had graduated several years prior, a real fun student to teach. He was the kind of a student who was so good at being a student that it required me to be a better teacher. He first impressed me with his writing ability. He was an older, non-traditional student, so there was a sense of perspective in his words. He had been a hockey player, a mechanic, a bike racer. So whenever he came into the classroom, his knowledge was couched in these life experiences. When he was my student, I also served the university as the chair for servant leadership. I would create service opportunities that would better our communities and ask students to serve and then try to help the students take what they learned from service and reapply it in leadership roles. Matt was eager to serve and to lead. But what was fun about Matt is that I didn't have to give him any projects. He created his own. There's one thing, this one project he did that was so memorable. It was in the summer of 2010 when he was the head of the university's cycling club. He wanted to teach inner city kids how to work on bicycles. So he got the guys from the club to work with these kids. And the kids learned how to lubricate chains and adjust derailleurs. Then they created this safety course so that the kids could ride bikes that they had just wrenched with their own hands. And what the kids learned was that the bikes ran really well on the course and they could ride really fast. It was a great learning experience for me because I really didn't have to do anything. Matt did all the serving and all the leading. I just had to give him the resources he needed, and he took the rest. I went to his memorial with a couple of colleagues of mine. We sat up in the balcony, looking down at Matt's family and friends. And I just kept thinking about how we needed to do something that would keep Matt's memory present in some way that maybe we could create a legacy for him. A couple weeks went by, and I had coffee with his sister, Sarah, and I asked her how she was processing the loss. She told me that she was reading a book by Mel Glazer, a rabbi with a degree in grief therapy. So I ordered the book and read it, and what I learned is that we learn a great deal by how we process loss. How do we recover from our losses? Not forget them, but recover from them. So over the next couple of months, my colleagues and I worked with Matt's family, and we eventually decided that what we should do is enact a memorial bike ride. We would begin at our university campus in downtown Milwaukee and go up to a beer garden on the north side of town. Once there, we would drink beer and eat food and really get to know each other. And then we would gather underneath this big oak tree and share our collected memories of Matt. And that's what we did, and it's what we continue to do. On the first Sunday in September, we bike up the Oak Leaf Trail to Estabrook Park, we eat food and drink beverages, and we share our stories about Matt. It's been a great learning opportunity for me, just figuring out how to manage a bike ride of scale. But the real learning takes place when I hear these stories. I didn't know that Matt's wry humor had such impact on everyone. I didn't know that his family went on these great adventures out west. I learned that Matt deeply loved his cat. I only really knew him in an academic sense, so to hear all of these collected narratives has made him all the more real. The event also serves as a fundraiser. Every dollar goes toward a scholarship in his name. We ask the people who are applying for the scholarship to have some of his qualities: an older, non-traditional student, someone who works really hard, someone who has impact both inside and outside of the classroom. The people applying for the scholarship will write essays, and then we ask the family to read through all of the applications and select a recipient. Then we ask all the recipients to participate in the bike ride. It's another way that we can build a bridge between who Matt was and who we are. It serves as yet another vehicle for continuing Matt's legacy. We work with the development office so that they can broadcast the event to alumni. We work with marketing so the event has a presence on the university website. And we work with our administration so that they can understand the impact Matt's had on our community. This last September, I got to watch Dr. Walls, our university's president, ride a tandem bike with his wife all the way up to the beer garden. And it was an amazing thing to watch. But what I really enjoyed watching was when Dr. Walls was listening to and talking with Matt's mom and dad, when he was interacting with his brother and sister and friends. When you create an event like this, where the participants are the ones that are giving it shape, you really don't know what's going to happen until the event happens. And I think that's what gives it so much meaning when we're creating community. The first time we did the ride, I kept thinking about worst case scenarios. I mean, what's going to happen if someone falls off their bike? Or what if someone just shoots right past the turnoff to the beer garden and keeps going down the bike path? What if some student takes out a fake ID and orders a liter of beer? But as the event continues to take place, these scenarios minimize in my mind. And I learn every time we hold the ride that the real worst case scenario is if we would never hold the bike ride at all. It's the people that give value to the events. It's not the stories so much as it is the storytellers. And it's not the scholarship so much as the scholarship recipients. In the face of tragedy, we celebrate and we heal our hearts, hearts that still need healing because Matt had such a big heart. If there's a regret that I have in life, it's that I never got to ride a bike with Matt. So the only way I can manage that regret is to bike with his family and friends while I bike with my colleagues and students. All these communities coming together, connecting. When someone changes your life at a level you don't really understand until you have to stop and make sense of it, you have to exercise that knowledge. We had to do something. I didn't want to move forward in life with the weight of his loss. That weight is lifted every time I hear another story about Matt Stachelski and the impact that he has had on all of these people who made up his life.